Hello and welcome to a little bit of a different video than I'd promised and than I'd expected to make. So in the last video, I gave you kind of a show schedule for what I was planning on doing. I was going to do the Yggdrasil video, and then a video about the different races, and then a video about the different realms. I decided against doing 2 out of 3 of those things. I'm still going to make an Yggdrasil video. It's a little bit longer. The plan is a little bit longer than what I had expected to be making, but it's still going to get made. And then the races and the realms, it felt a little unfair to try and cram all that content into those 2 videos. I don't think that I would be doing any of the individual parts of that any kind of justice. So I've decided to do kind of more like a mini-series for them, a mini-series for the different races, as well as a mini-series for the different realms, which brings us to the board. You can see, probably can't see because the video quality ain't great, but there's a mass, a black mass up there, about, it's 2 columns, and it's all of the races that come up regularly in Norse mythology. In the left column you have the Æsir, the Vanir, the Dwarves, the Elves, and the Giants. Those are all going to get their own video. They're realistically the most major races. They all have a lot of lore behind them, especially the Giants, the Jotnar. So they're all getting their own video. And then in the right column you have all kind of the misfits, including the one on the bottom. They're a little bit more up in the air. Obviously they're all going to get covered still, but I'm not sure if they're all going to get their own video. Probably not. There's the weirder ones like the Ancestors. They're not really their own race, but they still come up a lot. Anyway, that's not what you came here for. You came here to learn about the Æsir, and that's what I'm going to tell you about. I made a mistake in the last video. I said that Buri made Odin Villian V. That's not true. That was a weird mistake to make, and that's actually why I have show notes now, is because before now I was trying to memorize all of it, and I realized that's stupid, but Buri didn't make Odin Villian V directly. He's their granddad. He made Bor, who with Besla, who is the child of Bolthorn, an ice giant. Besla was also an ice giantess. Bor and Besla made Odin and his 2 brothers. Just a quick little correction. I put it in the description of my last video, but not everyone reads the descriptions, which I can't blame you for. They're boring. So I figured this would be an appropriate time to cover it now. Really what I want to talk about in this video is 2 major things. One of them is a couple of tendencies that Norse mythology has, which will tie directly into the other thing I want to talk about, which is the 4 unofficial, but the 4 main gods. Not 4 main Æsir, one of them's a Vanir, that's Frigg, but the 4 main gods. What I mean by that is the four characters who are gods, who you would be really hard-pressed to find a story in the Poetic Edda or the Prose Edda that didn't bring one of these 4 up. These 4 are Odin, Frigg, Tyr, and Thor. I just want to really quickly cover where they all came from. But first, the 2 tendencies. The first one is, you'll see it a lot, it prescribes weird parent-child relationships to situations like with Ymir and Audhumla. If you remember from the last video, Audhumla was, much like Ymir, born from the meeting of the fires and the ice. And then Gunun Gageb. She was born from that. Ymir was too. So it's really strange why Audhumla is in a lot of places listed as Ymir's mother and talked about like that. It kind of makes sense because she fed him and also all of his offspring, but that's but it's a little bit of a stretch at best. And another thing is it personifies different things, people. It personifies different things, like the Earth, for instance, who the Earth in Old Norse, the language, means is called Jord. Jord is a character in Norse mythology who is a personification of the earth. Now here's where that all comes in. This parent-child, father-daughter, if you will, relationship is a little bit more appropriate than Ymir and Audhumla. This is between Odin and Jord. Odin, with his two brothers, made the world, and the world is personified as Jord. So it's really strange how Odin made 3 children with this world. 2 of these children were Thor and Tyr. That's where they came from. A different, kind of a contradiction is another story that says Tyr was made by just a random giant, but that's unimportant, I'm sure. So that's realistically 3 of the main 4 out of the way that I talked about, and then there's Frigg. So this is where it gets kind of weird. Frigg was made by Fjorgyn and Fjorgyn. One of them has 2 ends. But the weird part about that is that Fjorgyn is a more casual, like more of a common name for the earth in Old Norse, which leads many, myself maybe included, to believe that Frigg is actually a sibling of Tyr and Thor, and Mili was their other sibling. Leads us to believe that that's the case, that she's their sibling. It's a little bit strange still, the Odin and Jord ship, but that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day.